Dr. Jane Kengeya-Kayondo began her career in the 1980s as a researcher at the Uganda Virus Research Institute in Entebbe. She also opened a clinic in Entebbe town as a side hustle.
Even then, like now, many doctors had a side hustle. In fact, it was the side hustles which brought in the money. Then we remained working for the government, even though the salaries were poor. So I had one of the most prestigious and well-known clinic in Entebbe.
What was it called?
It was called, I think it was EMI's, Approved Medical Examination Center.
Through her clinic, she clinched a position as the designated doctor of Uganda Airlines cabin crew staff.
So to start with, I wasn't qualified specifically in aviation medicine. Then I went to London in 1985-86 to do my master's in epidemiology. And while I was there, I found out that I could actually specialize in aviation medicine. I got registered by the UK Aviation Authority as an authorized medical examiner. That means you have the power and the responsibility to certify that a pilot is medically fit to fly, an engineer is fit to fly, or the air hostesses.
Dr. Kengeya was the first Ugandan to specialize in aviation medicine. When she returned to the country, she became the official medical examiner for Uganda Airlines. Dr. Kengeya says that before the crew of Uganda Airlines flight QU775 left Entebbe for Gatwick Airport, she examined them and found them fit for travel. A week earlier, she had prescribed bed rest for Captain Stephen Walusimbi.
Yes, but obviously I won't be able to disclose what he was sick of. That was always the controversy from the beginning. They wanted me to disclose medical information of people, but I refused then and I refuse now. Yeah, so he took his days of rest. He came back and he was okay to fly. I would never have certified him to fly, even if there was a shred of doubt that he wasn't medically fit, because they go through, it's a rigorous type of examination before you certify somebody that they are medically fit.
On the morning of Monday, October 17th, 1988, bits and pieces of news began filtering in that flight QU775 had crashed at Rome Fiumicino Airport.
It was a very, very, very sad day that day. It was, you know, Entebbe is, maybe now it's no longer like that, but at that time it was a type of town where everyone knew each other intimately. So it was like losing family, losing friends.
She says residents of Entebbe rushed to the airport to get any news on the plane crash.
People gathered around Chitoro, Entebbe town. And then of course everyone was looking for every other pilot. So have you checked on so and so? Was he on the flight? Even people came checking to see if I was on the flight, because I think I had returned like 2 weeks before.
Dr. Kengeya describes her former clients, who were also her friends, as the best of the cream of Entebbe.
At that time, if you were a pilot or a flight engineer or traveling all the time, you were like the top of the cream. These were people who were well-traveled, they knew the world, they had experience of different nature, they were earning good salaries.
A week later, on October 23rd, she was among the hundreds who thronged Entebbe International Airport, waiting to receive the bodies of those who had perished in the crash. Then began the sad procession of vigils and burials of the deceased.
Even though the caskets were sealed, the homes I visited, you could smell the bodies. And that was one of the saddest things. I don't know what they did in Italy, but I don't think the bodies were treated as such.
Dr. Kengeya says that at the time, there was no thought offered to psychological well-being of the survivors or the friends of the deceased.
People were looking to me like I should be supporting them. And me myself also. I was totally broken because most of them, when you're a personal doctor of someone, it's a very, very close relationship.
She says that even with the trauma she was experiencing, she had to brace herself to be interviewed by a team of air crash investigators.
One thing I did as soon as the crash happened, I went to my medical center and I took the files home. I told them, look, whoever was on that flight, in my expert assessment, was fit to be on that flight. And then, of course, they were asking me, so what diseases did they have? Well, I said, no, I cannot. But to be honest, nobody tried to compromise me. I think if it was these days, somebody would have tried to compromise me.
Dr. Kengeya buried her clients' medical files at her home and later retrieved them and burnt them. In the aftermath of the crash, the aviation doctor says she gradually abandoned her profession.
Me personally, after that accident, I kind of lost interest. It's like losing all your children. Now I said, this type of business, let me go back to my research. And
you completely left aviation medicine?
I never practiced again.
Dr. Kengeya left the country and went to work for an organization in the UK, where she spent 20 years. Leaving their children and grandchildren abroad, she and her husband returned to Uganda in 2012. Now she runs Route Training Center in Nkumba near Entebbe, which skills young adults on soft skills for employability. GILLIAN NANTUME, NTV Tonight.